And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Nancy, I am delighted to report I have a flag here.
Oh,
I'm gonna
excellent. Thank you.
share my screen, and I think it might even wave if I did this right. Let's see here. You see that?
Yes.
All
Wow.
right. Okay, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United States of
America
America,
and to the
And to the
republic
republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
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 with
with
liberty and
liberty and
justice for
justice.
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing. All right. First on our agenda is open forum. Do we have anything from the board for open forum this evening?
Yes, Brian.
Fernando, yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, congratulations to the Patriots winning the AFC Championship and heading to the Super Bowl. Go Pats!
Amen. I like your enthusiasm.
If I could just, I
Yes.
think, just for the viewers or anybody listening, just again, a shout out to all the hardworking DPW workers that have been keeping our roads safe. You know, it's been a huge storm, a lot of work, and I think the whole town is very grateful.
Amen to that. Anything else? Open forum from the board. Okay, I just have a couple of things. Rainey, I believe I see you. Can you share some of the announcements for tomorrow's closures? I know there was an announcement that went out by email, but just for those who are watching, if you can share some of those.
You bet. Schools will be closed, town hall, Percy Walker Pool, senior center, library. Yeah, we're closed across the board.
Okay, thank you.
Rainey, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Mike.
Are all the athletic facilities closed too? I assume the janitors aren't able to do that.
Yep, everything's closed.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, and I just wanted to reiterate Amy's point, thanking Sheila and the entire DPW team for a job very well done during this storm. I know it's not easy. I know I saw the yellow lights blinking through my window in the wee hours of the morning, and please thank them for us. It's a terrific job. The streets were very well handled and passable, important for public safety, and we really appreciate that. Similarly, I see we have Julie from Eversource on here. And Julie, just before the meeting, I was saying that I don't remember a storm in Duxbury where we didn't have the power go out at least once, except for today. So no power outages at all, despite however many inches of snow we had. So thank you for Eversource for maintaining the lines throughout the year so that we didn't have anybody in jeopardy for lack of power today. I'd also like to thank Rainey, Nancy, and the local scene for arranging tonight's remote-only meeting. I know it kind of feels like a COVID redux here, but it's important that we handle town business in a timely manner, and I'm glad we're able to meet tonight. Otherwise, the next meeting would have been twice as long, and I'm glad we can avoid that. Rainey, as the Board of Health liaison, I just had two questions that popped up tonight. We don't have to go through these now, but I just want to put them on your radar. One is they're looking to appoint an alternate member, and I think that went through the talent bank process, but I just want to verify. I believe the Board of Health is ready to recommend someone to us. And secondly, the Board of Health is also interested in initiating a discussion about e-bikes in town. So I think that would require or should include the police department, fire department, DPW. So let's see if we can get that discussion going.
Brian, could I
yeah.
also suggest that the open space committee be included in that discussion, and maybe conservation, because they, of course, those are the lands that the e-bikes utilize.
Great, will do. Thank you for that, Amy.
And Brian,
and then finally,
do you mind
Rainey,
email?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you email me that and I'll take care of it.
Yep, will do.
Thank you. Great.
And then just finally to share with you, I'm pleased to report that my nomination papers for re-election have been filed and certified. So depending on what the voters have to say, I may be stuck with you for another 3 years. And Mike, I think you're coming along with me as well. So
that's accurate.
Excellent, excellent.
Few more
Okay.
signatures and they'll be in.
Cool. Anything else from the board? Seeing none, anything from the public? Nancy, I think I can see everybody and I don't see any hands.
No, there's nobody with their hand up. All set.
Okay, terrific. Great, thank you. So now we'll move on to our first order of business, which is a informational update on Duxbury's pavement management plan. I'm sorry, I didn't read the preamble. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28th, 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. The meeting will be recorded by the local scene. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by watching the Duxbury Government Access channels, which are Verizon 39 and Comcast 9. Viewers can visit thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. So we will be hearing from Sheila Scarzi, our DPW director, and Anthony Garrow from the Beta Group about Duxbury's pavement management plan.
Excellent. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Sheila Scarzi, DPW director. I just want to start out, not on the agenda, but just by publicly thanking the DPW staff. They've done an incredible job with this storm. I really want to commend them. I'm so impressed with everything they've done. You know, we had staff that started as early as 7:30 yesterday morning, and they're still on. So they're exhausted, but they keep going. So people don't realize just how many hours they put in behind the scenes. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank them. So, but
Thank you for that, Sheila.
yeah, dovetailing into pavement management, maybe it's not the best day to be doing it where you can't see the pavement today. But this is something actually we wanted to do a whole year ago. So I apologize for being so late into this. But when I came to Duxbury, I discovered that the town wasn't utilizing a pavement management program. And having experienced one in the town I came from prior to Duxbury, understanding how useful they are. I went to Rainey and Mary and asked if we could utilize Chapter 90 money to implement a pavement management program here in Duxbury, and that's what we've done. It's something that MassDOT actually encourages communities to do, and they encourage communities to utilize Chapter 90 money for these pavement management programs. And basically, this is one component of what goes into how and when we decide to pave roads. It's not the whole picture, it's a piece of it, because there is a lot that goes into paving roads, which we can get into during and after the presentation with any questions. But let me introduce you to Tony Garrow from Beta Group. Beta did our pavement management program, and he has the presentation that runs through just what it encompasses. So, Tony.
All right. Well, thank you for having me at your meeting this evening. And I'd like to echo just on the plow route, all the plow route work. I have several friends in public works across Massachusetts, and I know the amount of hours that goes into it. So yeah, thank you to all the plow drivers out there for sure. We actually helped some communities with mapping plow routes and helping them optimize the routing to help the plow route drivers be done more efficiently. So definitely appreciate the work they've done. With that, just asking for permission to share my screen, if that's okay.
You should
Please, I
be
think
all
we all
set.
have the presentation, but it would be helpful if we can all go through it together.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's all set.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna go into slideshow mode and start. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Looks good.
Okay, great. Okay. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Tony Garrow. I work with Beta Group. I actually worked with Beta my entire career, right out of school, Westfield State, 36 years. I've been working with communities across New England, in particular through Massachusetts, on developing pavement management programs and asset management programs for about 20 years now. We're working with about 100 towns in Massachusetts. on a variety of pavement management programs, much of which now focus on an AI based approach to collecting information and analyzing it using AI technology. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the presentation. And feel free, if you'd like to stop me through the presentation, happy to take questions during and of course after. All right, with that. I just clicked to the first slide. You're able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So benefits of pavement management. Your roadway network, is a big investment for the community. You've got around 110 miles of roadway that you're responsible for maintaining. Not only just the road or curb to curb element of it, but you also have your sidewalks and curb ramps, underground utilities. But it all starts with pavement management and maintaining your roadway at an acceptable level of service for the community. It's an important component to emergency management, where you need to evacuate or how you have public service in terms of police and fire. Also, there's a lot more to pavement management than just evaluating the roadways from a condition standpoint. Ideally, the program gives you the opportunity to understand the conditions and plan ahead. Be proactive in that approach. So now that we understand the conditions of the roadways across the community, we understand the estimated costs and the treatments associated with each roadway. And most important thing is really it's the foundation for decision making. And I'll get into that in the presentation. So pavement management starts with the pavement deterioration curve that's shown here. I also refer to it as a pavement planning curve. So right now, all the roadways within the community were evaluated and scored 0 to 100, 0 being in very poor condition or failed, and 100 being in very good condition, a road that was essentially improved in the last, say, 2 to 3 years. But over time, roadways deteriorate, in particular when you're having a winter like we're having now, where you have freeze-thaw cycles, that impacts the condition of the roadway. Typically, roads deteriorate at about 2 points per year. So if you're a 100 today, you'd be a 98 a year from now. But that's hypothetically. So if you have conditions like we're seeing this winter, the roads could deteriorate at a faster rate. But ideally, if you're looking at the curve, you can see the different bands that are established. And using the pavement management data, we'd like to catch roads before they fall into a more expensive repair or proposition. So the goals and objectives of the program, first and foremost, we conducted an assessment of all the roads. We used a LiDAR-based methodology or AI technology that provides us with an understanding of the conditions and the future needs related to each roadway. We discussed different repair strategies, the benefits of those, and the costs, and ultimately established an estimated cost of improvements for all the roadways across the town, and ultimately the ability to develop that capital improvement plan. Most projects follow a 5-step approach. The first step is working with Sheila on developing the system mapping for the program. So it's a GIS or mapping centric approach. So we're able to thematically map all the conditions and plans that are developed as part of the program. Step 2, we're actually driving or capturing the LiDAR and imagery that is utilized for evaluating all the roadways. So you may have seen our vehicle out there. We have a bright blue or silver hybrid vehicle that we use for collecting the vehicle with a LiDAR sensor on top. Once the data is captured and the information is provided to us, we're able to analyze the information. We'll qualify the information through our quality control program and then start to work with the town on developing a plan of action, and then ultimately maintaining the program over time, which we've been helping Sheila with that. So the last two steps are shown in green because those are really iterative processes that happen every year. So you want to update the roads to reflect the work that you did. For instance, we updated the program in December to reflect the work that was done in 2025. We'll want to do that again at the end of 2026. And then that kind of shuffles the deck in terms of how your roads are prioritized, based on those conditions. And then again, based on the conditions in the roadways across the community. Roadway profile for the town. You have 182 total road miles, so that's accepted, private, and state. The program focused on 109.4 miles. Those were the roadways where we actually inspected them and collected that LiDAR information. One additional benefit of using the LiDAR and AI-based approach can not only develop your pavement condition scores, but you can also extract other assets, which I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation. So this is a picture of the vehicle that I mentioned. So you can see it has a LiDAR sensor up top. It's also equipped with a forward-facing camera and also a 360 camera similar to Google. So it provides the town with a host of information, beyond the LiDAR, but also the images that's available for use right from your desktop. The data was captured in the summer of 2024. Typically, you want to reinspect roads every 3 years, so you'd be looking at another inspection potentially
Sorry, Tony,
in 2027.
Tony, Fernando here. Just a quick question with
Sure.
regards to, so how far away is a photograph taken, right? Is it, there's a concern around, privacy, how deep are you taking a photograph? Are you actually photographing people's homes? Can you see people? There's that whole question of privacy and respecting that. So maybe you've already covered that.
No, I did not, but that's a very good question. And that's something that when we started using this approach back in 2018, that was something that was a concern of ours. We received one of our deliverables, and you could see license plates, you could see people. And so what they do is they actually, I call it on the vehicles, it looks like they drape the vehicle, so you can't see the car, you can't see anyone in the car, and you can't see the license plate. You also can't see any people as well. And now the forward-facing imagery, it's every 20 feet, and it's capturing the information probably about from the center line of the road, about 40 feet from the center line in each direction. So our LiDAR vendor does a very good job, and they're very careful in terms of how they provide us with the information to protect people's privacy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, very good question. So the snapshot was taken in summer 2024 using a LiDAR sensor that you can see on the top of the vehicle here. Each roadway was scored in 0 to 100, like I mentioned before. You have high resolution photography, which are located every 20 feet, plus the 360 imagery that's available. We deliver the information in an online GIS-based platform, which I'll show a little later on in the presentation. And then also you had the ability now, which is one of the real benefits of going with a LiDAR and imagery, is that you're able to extract other assets from that data set. So here with working with Sheila, we extracted a sign layer and also line striping that can now be utilized for other purposes with planning and developing budgets. Here's some just representative examples of conditions across town. Here's a roadway that's scored a 96. So again, that's at the top of the curve, scored very high. East Street. Next photo scored a 92. Again, a road in very good condition. Alden Street. And now we're starting to come down the curve a little bit. Mullins Avenue scored a 75, and you can start to see some cracking happening here where there's actually crack sealing that was done, which is very good routine maintenance to extend the life of the road and protect it from water getting into the cracks. Same with Congress Street, scored a 60. And now we're getting into roads that are in that, poor condition scoring below 60. Driftwood Drive scored a 59. And you can start to see the textbook distresses, alligator cracking, longitudinal cracking, edge cracking, all of those that are going to lead to eventually potholes that will start to form.
Tony,
then
is the
scored,
AI
Old
scoring? Tony, is the AI scoring this, or is a human being looking at this and scoring it?
So initially the AI scores it. So it's the one benefit of having the AI score it is that it's consistent across the network. So each roadway, if you and I were to look at Driftwood Drive, for example, you might come in with a different score, see different things than I would see. We have a trained team. Matter of fact, the person that did the quality control historically has done all of our manual inspections before AI even came about to use for this. So we have someone who's been doing manual inspections for about 15 years. So he does our quality control. So we don't just rely on the AI, although the AI is getting very good. We still do our quality control and due diligence on the engineering side to confirm the data before we deliver it to the town.
Okay, and just a related question, the scoring is done by street. So if parts of the street are in rougher shape than other parts, is it an average for the street, or do you identify particular hazards, or maybe you're going to get into that?
Yeah, so it's actually segment based. So each intersection to intersection, as an example, is scored. Then you're able to score it at the road as a whole. So you might have a roadway that has 10 segments. Each of those segments is scored individually.
Okay.
So you can pinpoint isolated issues. I'll get into that a little further in the presentation, but that's a good question.
Great.
And I'll show an example of that. So getting back to the repair bans and developing a repair program. So starting at the top of the curve, where you have roads that are scoring in that 90 to 100 range, those are roads that were most likely improved or paved, say, in the last 4 to 5 years, considered to be in very good or excellent condition. And there's really nothing planned at that point, but in reality, within pavement management, there's always something that's being planned. And the nature of the data and how it works is that it's fluid in nature. Like I mentioned, deterioration is happening within the application. So a road, for instance, that scored a 92, next year it's going to be in the routine maintenance, which will then be calling for say a crack seal or some other type of surface treatment. So it's fluid in nature and becomes predictive in that way. But moving down the list here, so we had routine maintenance, typically 80 to 92. Again, that's crack sealing, typically. Preventative maintenance next, 65 to 80, roads in fair condition. And that's where you consider a surface treatment. That could be a shim and overlay. And there's a host of preservation techniques like chip seal, microsurfacing, cape sealing, those types of techniques, which are very effective. Minor rehabilitation, 50 to 65, roads typically in poor condition. Most communities in that range, you're looking at mill and overlay, that type of activity. And then once you get into that 0 to 50, that's going to become a more expensive proposition. Typically reclamation or reconstruction would be called for at that point within the program. But again, this is just a guide, like Sheila mentioned. It's just a guide. It's a tool to help you with planning your program and developing a backlog of estimated costs, which will help you forecast out your budget needs. So right now, your score out across the network is a 73.5, which is a good score. Most communities within Massachusetts that we work with that are in that, I'll say, 100 miles of road, typical community, say 100 to 150 miles of road, score between 67 and 74. So you're right on the higher end of what we typically see. We do have several communities that score 75 to 80, even some that score on the higher end of 80. So it becomes a situation where you need to be consistent in your approach and you really just can't typically rely on just Chapter 90 money to maintain your program. We also have communities that are well below the average that we see, that window. Some score in the high 50s, low 60s. So there's a variety of ranges that we see, and it's usually based on really the amount of funding and the types of repairs and strategies that you've implemented. One thing, just back to that slide, just want to mention that that's the prices that we're showing are curb to curb only. So the pricing does not incorporate, say, that's required to upgrade a curb ramp or a sidewalk or drainage. So those costs are in addition to the costs that were shown.
May I ask a quick question about the previous slide and our overall a score, if you will? Was the score based just on town-owned streets and not private or state streets? Was that just streets that are under the control of the town?
Yes, you're correct. So it's based on your town accepted roadways that I had mentioned in the community profile.
Yep.
So you have about 182 miles of total road miles within the community. But here the program focused on just the roads that the town is responsible for maintaining, which is Chapter 90 eligible.
Okay, thank you. Because some of our most, I think people complain a lot about some of the state roads that we don't have control over.
Understand.
Can I just follow up on that then? I saw and we'll get to the maps and stuff, but obviously 3A is a state road and 53, but is Route 14 not a state road? It didn't look like that on the maps.
So Route 14, some state numbered routes are maintained by the town. And the state does have a new program, the municipal paving program, where if it's a state numbered route, but it's maintained by the town or town accepted, then the state may come in and offer to pave that roadway. That would be in addition to or on top of your Chapter 90 funding. So Sheila, that's something we should probably talk about offline, and that would be where you'd want to communicate with your district representative.
Yeah, we actually have been eyeing that program for 14. However, the gas company has some work they have to do there, which is one of the components to selecting the roads you pave. We look at what the upcoming infrastructure work is. So, so we are looking into that.
Yeah, that's critical. That's a really good point, Sheila. The underground utilities and sequencing the work, that's really important. That's why it allows you to, by having the pavement management program and understanding the underground utilities, getting that work done first is ideal. Especially if you can get the patch done and settled over the winter and then pave it in the spring, that's even better.
So I guess I'm just still not clear about Route 14 because Cindy's right. I had always been told that Route 14 was a state road, but are we responsible at this point in time for Route 14?
We are.
Huh. Okay. Thank you.
It does need work.
Yes.
Thanks.
And just continuing with the breakdown of the data, again, this is just showing the same tabular information in a different format. And you can see that you've got routine maintenance representing a little over 38%, which is good. That's a good position to be in. Preventative maintenance, a little over 32%. So your preventative and routine maintenance is, again, a little over 70%. So that's a really good place to be in terms of where you are, and it's going to give you some flexibility on the repair types that you can apply going down the road. Just the geographic aspect of the project. So the ability to map information through the GIS environment is a great way to see the information. The information is available in a paper map like this. This is just a PDF that I included in the presentation. But Sheila also has the ability to access the information through an online platform, which allows you to pan, zoom, drill into the data filter information, and really take a closer look at the data to help you with decision making. But the mapping, that's my background, is urban planning and geography. So I think, GIS is a great way to visualize the information and the conditions across the town. So this is the platform that I've been referring to. So this is a ArcGIS Online that's available through ESRI, and they're really I'll say right now, in the GIS world right now, they are at the top. And the one thing that's nice about ArcGIS and deploying it through this is that the town has licensing already in place. So it's a real effective and efficient way to keep not only access to data, but now you don't have to pay for another software. So that's something that we'll continue to work with Sheila on. We're actually offering now a new platform where you can go in and actually update the information. Sheila, I think I mentioned that in our last meeting. So now you can go in and actually update the roads as they're repaired, and also use it for capital planning moving ahead. But the nice thing about the platform is that in an environment visually, you can see the breakdown again of the different repairs here on the left. There's that backlog number that I mentioned, the 13.4. So over time, that backlog it's fluid in nature. As roads deteriorate, that number will change, but also as Sheila completes improvements, that number will go down. So you have roads that are being improved, their scores are going up, but you also have roads also that you're not improving or paving deteriorating. So it's very hard to pick up points. That's why you need to be very consistent in your approach for maintaining that 73.47.
Go ahead,
Also
Brady.
shown here on the right is
Brady's got a
the
question.
history. So we're able to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I had a quick question, Anthony. Sorry.
Sure, no
Are
problem.
those Esri data layers something that we can get in our planning department?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all shape files or a geodatabase.
Great. Okay.
So, yep, we can provide that to you. Just have Sheila request them, and we can provide them to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So on the right here, one of the more important aspects of pavement management is just maintaining what you've done. So we like to track by year the type of improvement, the cost, and this allows us now to identify trends across the network, and also looking at budgetary requirements. It helps us be more predictive in nature. Very important to maintain the work that's been done each year. And then down below here in the middle, this allows you to filter the information by street, by repair type. So a lot of different things here. I'm not going live into the program tonight, but again, happy to do that, with Sheila in a workshop type environment. This is zooming in a little further, and now you can see the different colors that you can see that represent the different conditions of the roads. This is an example showing an example forward-facing image that was captured. Again, they're available every 20 feet, and you can see little dots here that appear on the screen. So each dot represents an image, and it also represents a condition that was calculated through the AI. This is showing different assets. This is just a quick screenshot. So this is showing the street signs that I mentioned earlier. So now the street signs can be categorized by type, stop sign, speed limit signs, your yellow signs, your safety signs. All of those now are classified and available in the asset management program and can be integrated with a work order system. Here's a breakdown of the history. I'd mentioned a couple of slides ago the importance of tracking the work that's been done. So since 2020, there's been a little over 11 miles of roadway improvements. So that's typically paving work that's been done. But I'd also like to mention that in 2025, the town also did about 6.5 miles of crack sealing roadways as well. But you can see 2.3 miles of road improvements in 2025. And then the range it's fairly consistent across the board on an annual basis. But again, important to track that so we can further make the data that much more efficient and accurate for being predictive.
Yeah,
Go
Tony,
ahead, Fernando.
Fernando here. Just a quick question. Compared to other communities, um, I can't quite remember the percentages, right? But we got 100 miles of road, right? And we're only repairing on a yearly basis approximately 1%. I mean, compared to other communities, are we behind, or are we aligned, or we need to pick up the pace of maintenance?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it really comes down to the budget that you have available, and that's this next slide
Yeah.
that I just pulled up. So there's a lot of different ways that you can analyze that question. So you can look, some communities are, I'll say, more aggressive with preservation. So that would be your rubber chip microsurfacing type techniques. So you're going to be able to cover more road miles for less money, versus, mill and pave, level and overlays, which are more expensive. And of course, when you get into your reclamations and reconstructions, those are even probably 3 times the cost. So it comes down to the makeup of your program, the types of treatments that you're utilizing on an annual basis, and being consistent with that. So that's maybe not quite what you wanted to hear, but it's typical. It's typical to see a balanced program, and on average, if you can complete, say up to 2 miles of road, that's pretty good.
Okay, maybe I should ask Sheila that question, right? So this money obviously comes out of our operating budget, and do you have money in there to? I mean, are you happy with the pace that we're doing these repairs, Sheila? Or
No.
okay, good. All right,
No.
that's my question.
That's why we're presenting this.
Yeah, well, all right. Let's hit
No.
let's hit the highlight then, Sheila.
Yeah.
Do we have money
So-
in the override, or do we have enough money in our budget for 2020? I'm losing track of time, but the 2027 budget. Have you got enough money in there, or do we need more?
Well, I would like to see the town supplement Chapter 90.
Yep.
Thus far, the town's been relying exclusively on Chapter 90 for road paving. As you'll see in this slide, we're not going to keep up with the RSR rating if we do that. So I have been, as part of the DPW's annual capital requests, since I've been here, I've been proposing to invest money in road paving and preservation. It hasn't been ranked at the top yet, but I will continue to have that in our annual capital request, just to reiterate the importance of supplementing that. Having said that, we have this past year gotten more Chapter 90 money than historical. And if that trends in that direction, that's positive, but still not enough. And Tony will talk about that in this slide.
Right. So it doesn't come out of your request for funding for maintenance, even though it's maintenance, is still treated as capital. Is that right, Sheila?
That's right. Yeah, it's not part of our annual budgets. Our line striping is part of our annual budgets, but not the road paving.
And is it fair to say that if you don't keep up pace, the eventual cost escalates, right? Because you've got to do major work. So there's got to be a sweet spot in terms of how much work you do every year. And by the sounds of it, what I'm reading from this slide is basically right now we're spending 1.43 with Chapter 90, but it'd be good to top it up to 1.9 or a little bit higher. Is that what that slide is saying?
Well, no, we're not spending that. Historically, we've and Tony will dive into this more. The towns receive about $536,000 a year in Chapter 90 funds.
Oh.
Last year we got about 880,000. But yeah, this slide will explain how much we need to keep our existing scoring.
Right. So bottom line is basically we're only getting half the money that we need. If I see them maintain 1.4, we're getting somewhere between half a million to maybe just under $1 million on a yearly basis for Chapter 90. So we are slipping down and becoming more. Our roads are getting not the care and attention they're needing. That's the message then, yeah?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just this is a really good question.
Tony, before you continue, Amy has a question. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Brian. I have a question about prioritization, and was the usage of the road factored into prioritizing?
Yes.
Because a lot of roadways get, much less use, so I would hope that comes into play. And I also think that at some point, just being a bit of the devil's advocate or saying we have a lot of people in town that are anxious for us to reduce the speed limit on our roadways across the board. People want, in our residential areas, they want cars going slower. Enforcement of that is a real challenge for the town. I hate to say it, but sometimes, the good old fashioned potholes, have natural traffic calming abilities that, so I'm just saying it because it's going to be the elephant in the room here for me anyways, because, you walk a fine line, you start, improving the roadways in town, which again, is great, but people are going to go faster.
You're correct, Amy. Every time we pave a road, we then get phone calls that people are speeding on it.
Yep. So, maybe the potholes aren't so bad, you guys.
Unless you do chip seal, because that's a rougher surface.
Yeah.
But
There you
a lot of
go.
people don't like chip
Right.
seal, but we do, when we look in terms of prioritizing, obviously we use this pavement management plan as a baseline, but we look at the functional classification, we look at how much use it's getting. A cul-de-sac is not going to be weighted as highly as a main road. That's not to say we won't pave a cul-de-sac, because we do try to balance that. We try to balance geography of the town. We also look at underground infrastructure. We coordinate with the gas company back and forth. What are the gas mains you're planning to do when? So some of those roads you see out there that look to be in bad shape, there may be, or there most likely is a reason why we haven't gotten to them. And it could very well be upcoming infrastructure repairs that are needed, or if we know we have water main work coming. For instance, St. George Street, we paved a portion of it last year, but not the whole thing because we knew there was more water main work coming. So we took the curse out of it, but we need to wait before we complete the rest of it.
Oh, that's
So
just smart. So I'm glad. That's
so
just
we
smart.
try to plan as much as we can, and whether or not people like it, it's not based on how much you pay in property taxes. We don't look at the roads based on how much the residents are paying in property taxes. I get that question a lot. We have to look at the whole town globally, and the best interest of the community.
Thank you.
Amy, that was a very good question on the prioritization. I do have a slide that's coming up that'll speak to that. So yeah, very good question. And I will get to that. But this slide here, so like Sheila mentioned, right now, the Chapter 90 situation, it has increased. So right now, it was $880,000 for the $30 million program, but then an additional $245,000 was added as a supplement. So we're at that's where you see the 1.12 number, which is currently available for the upcoming year for Chapter 90. And then what the chart is showing, all this analysis that we do, and we do this on every project, and we're constantly, refining and calibrating our model to be as accurate as it can be. So it does account for inflation. It does account for the life years added to a repair. So different repairs have different life years added. For instance, crack sealing adds 3 to 4 years, whereas a mill and payable adds, say, 10 to 15 years. So that's all considered within the forecasting of your scores. So down below here, this kind of boils it down. If you look at the bottom of the slide, so right now, in order to maintain your current score, that would require about 1.4 million annually over the next 5 years to maintain that score. I believe you need to be more progressive and have a target. So we established a target of 75 for the town. And in order to reach a 75 in 5 years, you need approximately 1.9 million annually to reach that target. Always good to have a goal. Doesn't mean you're going to get there, but I think it's always good to have a goal when you're working on developing a pavement management program. We also modeled an 80 score, and over 5 years, annually, you would need $3.4 million to reach an 80. So just to kind of give you an idea of what it would take to reach an 80. So the model, is sophisticated behind the scenes, but it takes into account, again, all the conditions of the roads. And it also looks at, this pie chart here on the left is what the representative repairs are. Again, each one has a different cost associated with it. And so right now you can see how we broke it down, and minor rehab is the orange, that orange piece of the pie. So 40% of the budget right now we're allocating toward a mill and pave type treatment. The pie chart can be tweaked. We can run different scenarios for Sheila. Typically we may run 3 or 4 different scenarios with that pie chart being modified to reflect different treatments and unit prices. So great tool to have. It's something that we should be looking at every single year. Any other questions on this slide? We can always go back to this as well.
Tony,
it seems like most of the presentations I have, they usually end up going back to this slide. So happy to go back to this again if need be.
Tony, is there an annual cost for your service to provide this analysis and upkeep of the information?
So we do have a support task, and that's really where we are now, working with Sheila on providing support as needed. So typically it's usually a not to exceed amount, or just Sheila will reach out and ask for our help as needed. Typically it's probably in the $3,000 to $5,000 range per year at most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So next step. So now we have all the data collected, all the roads scored. We've done a forecast model. So now we have a good idea of what our needs are. And here we are presenting, the findings and working on that multi-year plan. So the multi-year plan, it's a collaborative process, like Sheila mentioned. It's going to incorporate underground utilities, your ADA needs, all of those things which add additional costs to the project, but also impacts how you sequence the projects, ultimately how they get prioritized on an annual basis. So the cost benefit value analysis, or CBV, there's a host of reports that are included in the document that we provided to the town, and that includes a cost benefit value analysis. And that's cost benefit value accounts for the condition of the road, that 0 to 100 score, the repair associated with that, the cost, the life years added, but it also accounts for the volume of traffic or the importance of that roadway to the community. Typically arterial roadways, roads that carry more traffic, will score higher, collector roads after that, and then local roadways, and then your cul-de-sacs and dead ends. But like Sheila mentioned, it doesn't mean that those lower priority roads won't be completed. It's just that they might get rolled in geographically as it makes sense, or it could be completed as part of a utility project as well. So a lot of different elements to how the roads are prioritized, but it's not just based on condition. And again, geography also, or mobilization costs can be high if you're jumping around town. So you want to be coordinated in that respect as well. So concluding slide, the town now, you have a comprehensive inventory of pavement information. You also have signs and line striping that were also developed as part of the project. The program that we provided will help you better manage the dollars that you do have, really maximize that across the network, and provide the community with the best roadways, best level of service possible with the budget that you do have to work with. And like I mentioned too, we can assess and analyze the roadways and develop plans, wide range of methods and budget scenarios. So you're really in a good situation now moving forward with this program to help you set the stage for the future. So with that, thank you and happy to take any questions you may have.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Very, very informative, and I'm sure now I know why Sheila wanted this done. Thank you.
And also, I am planning to post a portion of the pavement management program on the DPW website, but I wanted to have this presentation first. We're going to pave a list of streets and the RSR values so people can see where their road ranks. But I think it's important for people to understand that just because you may have one of the lowest RSRs in town, that doesn't mean you're next up on the paving list, because we have to look at that cost benefit analysis. So a lot of times it makes more sense for us to spend more money on the higher rated roads to preserve them so they don't slip into the lower ranking. So it seems kind of counterintuitive, but there is a science behind it.
Could I
This is
ask
very
one?
helpful. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Just one more question, just maybe because it's the perfect time to ask it, but about road salt. And I'm sure that the salt products that we use have an impact on the pavement. I think you can see in the spring, it definitely affects vegetation along the side of the road. Before you got here, Sheila, probably 10 or more years ago, Peter had wanted us to switch from the type of salt that we were using to some type of I think he was mixing it with water, and there was a change in the process. And my question is are we using whatever product that we're using? Is it the best for the pavement? Is it the best for the environment? Are there different salt things that we might be able to use that would be more kind to the pavement and environment?
So there are some alternative products. There's brine. Some DPW swear by beet juice. Again, there's a lot of science to that and how you
Beet juice?
calibrate that. Yes, there's all different mixtures. Sand, there's sand and salt mixtures, straight salt. None of it's great for the environment. And if we go with the most environmentally friendly application, then we have a public safety issue. So we're always struggling to balance that. Coming from a water background, I'm always concerned about adding salt in an aquifer protection zone. We want to minimize that. But again, overall, when we look at our snow and ice operation, public safety is number one. So we want to prevent accidents. So we have to balance that. And if you put a lot of sand down, you get more of a grip, but it's a major cleanup. So there's definitely more to be done. We do pre-treat our roads, but I'll be the first to say I don't think we're doing a perfect job. I don't think any town in this area is. So it's a work in progress.
Thank you.
I think this is very helpful. Sheila, Tony, thank you. We do get questions from time to time. Why is my street not paved? When is my street getting paved? That sort of stuff. So I think having the information on the DPW website, Sheila, as you mentioned, will be useful, but I think also recording this video will also be helpful as well, just to demonstrate or to describe the rationale behind what goes into deciding what streets get paved and when. Any other questions or comments from the board? I don't
This has
see
been very
anybody from
thorough. Thank you.
No, thank you.
there's no, I don't believe there's anybody from the public at all, Nancy, on this.
No, nobody has their hand up.
Okay, great.
There was a question earlier, and I didn't answer it. I was going to save it to the end, and you're asking about the different conditions along the roadway. So this map here, it's showing for instance, Route 24, there's different scores all along that roadway within intersection to intersection. So, and you can see the color differential. So the mapping aspect of it is very important. So that kind of helps answer that question, I hope.
Other than where's
Yes.
Route 24?
14.
14.
Oh,
14, I'm sorry, 14. My bad.
It's okay. I've lived
Sorry,
here a long
14.
time. I'm like, I don't know Route 24.
No, 14, yeah, right here. Yeah, right here, this across this way.
And Fernando had a good question early on about data privacy. This database that we're looking at, this is available only to the town, I believe, right? This isn't public information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
All right.
If
Well,
there's nothing else,
thank you for inviting me on tonight. And Sheila will be in touch
Yeah,
later this
thank you,
week.
Tony.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, Tony. Thank you very much. Next, and continuing with DPW, is a discussion and vote pertaining to a license agreement between the town and N-Star Electric Company, DBA Eversource, for a new utility pole and conduit to serve the new DPW facility, site located at 878 Tremont Street, behind Town Hall. And this will be presented by Sheila. Go right ahead.
I think Julie from Eversource is on
Okay.
as well.
Yep.
I don't know.
I see Julie's here, and we do have materials that we have looked at showing the location. Go ahead, Julie.
Hi. So actually the poll, we are all set with the licensing agreement because Verizon originally got the licensing agreement. I am preparing an easement for that as well, and that will be sent over. So we've updated the licensing agreement to just be the transformer and the underground for the new DPW facility.
Yeah, and Brian, I can confirm that in, what did I say, January of 2024 or February 2024, Julie?
I think
Daryl Crossman from Verizon did send in a license agreement, and the select board approved that for the poll. So that part's all set.
Okay. Tonight, though, we're talking about a conduit, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Who would like to present the proposal? Mike, you have a question?
I'll wait for the presentation. Well,
Okay.
before we get going here, just may I ask, so I just in all candor, I live in at 900 Tremont Street. Where is this pole located? Because I may step away from this.
This pole is within the DPW facility site.
Okay.
So there's an existing pole, they're adding another pole, and then it's the conduit that will be feeding the DPW building.
Okay. Is there any encroachment on my property or any neighboring
No.
properties?
And it's not within the roadway access easement. The entry road into DPW is an easement over private property. It's on town-owned property entirely.
Everything is on town owned here.
Yep.
Okay. I'll remain with the conversation then.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Sheila or Julie, you want to just walk us through?
So the licensing agreement is basically just for us to go ahead and install the transformer and the underground. Like Sheila said, it's on the private, town-owned property for the new DPW facility.
Okay, and as I look through the materials, I see there's a couple of diagrams showing a service coming from a pole over to a proposed, looks like a transformer. Is there anything we need to discuss on that? I mean, it's obviously stuff that, Sheila, you need for your new facility to keep the lights on and get the equipment running. But it's really going from a pole just to the building, from what I understand.
Yep.
Okay. Rainey, anything you want to add or anything else we need to consider? Obviously, we need it.
No, I strongly recommend it.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I'm ready for a motion.
Could I
I just had-
ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
So the utility, there's going to be a pole and it's going to service, are they above over our head wires? Or are these in a conduit within the roadway?
There's poles that enter the DPW site, and then within the site, it goes from a pole through conduit. So
Okay.
the electricity source isn't entirely underground, unfortunately. Again, it was very costly to do that, so it's a little bit of both here.
A little bit of both. Okay. Because I think, as we know, it's the more that it's underground, the less problems that we're going to have. And I would think that it's important to keep the power going at the DPW as much as possible. So I'm glad at least some of it's underground.
All right, if I can, Amy, great point. If I can just play devil's advocate to that just a little bit, because I know there's arguments on both sides of whether you go above ground or underground. One issue I've heard over the years is when you put something underground and it goes bad, it's really expensive to repair because first you got to find it, you got to dig it all up. Whereas with a down wire, you can see it and put it back up. So given this is a mission critical facility, and we obviously were straining to contain costs here, I think I understand where DPW is coming from. I did have a related question. I don't know if it's directly pertinent to the license here, but at some point, and remind anybody who knows, remind me, do we have solar panels? Are we proposing solar panels in the building? I know Cindy raised this.
That comes later.
A while back.
Once the project's done, that will come.
All right. And does that interact at all with what we're talking about tonight in terms of the service? Will anything need to change with the service in the future if we
Not that we're aware
the
of.
panels?
This is standalone.
All right. So it's just an add-on later and it won't affect what we're doing tonight.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All right. Mr. Clerk, may I have a motion?
I move that the Select Board executes the license agreement and grants permission to NStar Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, to locate, relocate, erect, construct, install, operate, maintain, patrol, inspect, repair, replace, alter, change the location of, extend or remove poles, wires, conduits, transformers, manholes, and handholds. I didn't know that you had handholds. But anyway, together with service conductors and other necessary equipment and operators, along and upon, under, across and over the town of Duxbury, property located at 878 Tremont Street, for the transmission and or distribution of electricity for light, heat, power, the distribution of intelligence by electricity or other purposes, together with any and all necessary and proper equipment and fixtures, and with the condition that North Star Electric contact the Duxbury Department of Public Works at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the project, along with other conditions that may be requested by the Select Board.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and second. We are all remote, so this requires roll call. Amy?
Amy, aye. Sorry, my
Miranda? What was that?
I said Amy, aye, and my dog was barking in the background,
Oh.
so I was apologizing for her also voting.
No problem. Fernando?
Fernando, aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Mike?
Michael, I.
Brian, aye. Okay, great. Thank you all. Thank you, Eversource.
Thank you.
All right, Sheila, anything else on this you'd like us to take up?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. And thanks again to your team for the storm. Great work.
Thanks.
All right, next on our agenda is a discussion regarding comments related to 474 Franklin Street and 286 North Street 40B developments to be sent to Mass Housing. We have a number of materials in our packet. This is in response to a letter we received in December from Mass Housing. Amy provided some detailed comments. We also have comments from the Board of Health, Planning, and Conservation. Rainey, anything you want to add to this?
Sorry about that. No, I do know that Amy had some comments, I believe, right, Amy, if I got that right?
Yes,
Yes.
I submitted my comments. I think some of them are, more important than others, and I'd be happy to work with Nancy to try to kind of turn those into the response letter, although she's she's great at it, but I'm certainly available to assist with any. But I think that there's some areas that we need to call to their attention. I think that there's no doubt that they will get their eligibility letter, but it's always in the best interest of the residents to point out as many areas of concern as possible, because it's the only bite at the apple that we get.
Yeah.
I wholeheartely agree, and you do a great job flagging those issues, Amy, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah. And I appreciate it as well, Amy. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Any
I
other
don't do it
comments
alone. I
from the
get
board?
people help me, so I'm good.
You know what we meant.
Any
So
other
basically, I
comments?
mean, I have no additional comments to what Amy. So is the plan then to write a letter incorporating these comments, and then we will sign it? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so
Yes.
we respond. So the town, when the developer applies for his comprehensive permit in his eligibility letter, the town gets one chance to provide comments.
Right.
So again, it's our one opportunity, and I think that we owe it to the residents that'll be impacted by this this density, to try to call to the attention any issues that we have. So that's why we do it.
Yeah. I think I remember we did it last time to a 40B that was nearby. You and I, Amy, we went and took a look at that one.
Yep.
But yes.
Yeah, Amy, thank you for putting your thoughts to writing here. I had a number of the same concerns and comments, so I have nothing to add. I think the one of the most important underlying issues, which was also reflected, I think, in both planning and Board of Health, is septic, and I think that's been spotlighted pretty well throughout these comments. So other than that, go ahead.
And I also saw that Lauren Hache wrote a letter and indicates that the developer is proposing the septic systems that will treat the nitrogen levels, because what we're seeing across town is that our pre-development nitrogen levels are sometimes exceeding levels for post-development. So we have some, we should probably be advocating for the planning board, any development that occurs they should be doing pre-development calculations on what the nitrogen levels are, because it's a big problem, and the future septic systems that everybody's going to have to install is to mitigate nitrogen. It's a big problem, and we're seeing it in the Bay. We need to do everything we can, and I know Conservation Commission is talking about this, and obviously the Board of Health is on it. So again, I'm glad that I'm glad we're having this conversation. Oh, my dog's squeaking her toy now. I'm so sorry.
All right. Does anybody have other comments to add? Nancy, go right ahead.
Thank you. Amy, what I'll do is I will prepare the letter, draft it with all your comments. And you mentioned the Board of Health and the treating the nitrogen, make sure that that's all in there, and I'll just send the draft to you. And Fernando, the motion for this letter says that Rainey will be able to sign it if you all approve it. So
Okay.
I'll prepare it for his signature after Amy reviews it,
Right.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, because I think we're on like our third extension.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the quicker we can get it out, the better.
Yeah.
All right. So may I have a motion?
Yes, I move that the Select Board approves the letter to Mass Housing with their comments and authorizes the town manager, Rennie Reed, to sign on our behalf.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the roll. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, I.
Cindy,
Cindy, I.
Mike,
Michael, I.
and Brian, I. Great. Thanks again, Amy, for your hard work on this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
And thanks, Nancy, for putting the letter together.
Yes, thanks,
Yeah,
Nancy.
unfortunately, we have to do a lot of these. And Amy's and Nancy's really good at it. So thank you. Anything else on the 40B letter? I think that takes care of the business. All right, next we will follow up on the discussion from the November 3rd, November 17th, December 1st, and January 12th Select Board meetings and vote pertaining to removal of the April 7, 2025 Select Board Goal Number 9, prepare a town meeting article 2026 ATM, to move the date of our annual town meeting from March to May, commencing with 2027 ATM, to be presented by our town manager, Rainey Reed, and town clerk, Susan Kelly. And I know, Fernando, you'll have some comments on this as well. Rainey, why don't you kick us off? And
Thank you, Brian.
Susan, I definitely want to hear from you as well.
Thank you, Brian. As you know, this was one of the goals that the board had. Susan and I have been meeting to discuss this since August of last year to try and figure out a way to do it. We think there's a way, but we just need more time with it, and we won't be able to have the information ready to go and all of the issues considered by the time. We went so far as drafting an article and selecting a date, but there are a number of issues on the back end of that we still need to consider relative to the election, because it's not just moving the town meeting date, the election has to move with it. So with that, we're recommending that that you withdraw that goal, and if the board should choose in April, to revisit it then, and then consider it, having it as a goal for the following year, to have it become effective in 2027. So if in fact that is the board's desire and they're in agreement, the motion would simply to be remove this goal, and then that's it. And then we can talk about it later in April.
All right. And Fernando, before you comment, because I definitely want to hear from you. You've been a leader of on this issue. Susan, I want to give you an opportunity if you'd like to say a couple of words, and then Fernando, if you can give us sort of a summary as to where we left off. You, Rainey, Susan, Tara, and Nancy, and I met last week on this, and maybe you can bring us up to speed. But first, Susan.
Sure, thank you. We've been doing research, and I think this is more about the logistics behind setting the date. And I think that that's something that we can all work on to figure out how to make it work if that's what the voters choose to do, to move the meeting to May.
All right, thank you. Fernando, go right ahead.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I want to make sure that we're aligned on this, right? So as a select board, I think we've voted a couple of times, but I think we're aligned on trying this out, right? And Brian, we did meet, and thank you, Susan and Rennie were there, as well as Mike Woodford, and so we had a good conversation. And the thing is, the key is we've got to get this right. So we've got to make sure that the town operates and functions, the elections, everything goes well. So we're not ready to go to prime time. And so therefore, yeah, fully supportive of us continuing to figure out how best to do it, such that when we do present it to the voters, we can answer all their questions and reassure them that everything will work smoothly if they go ahead and approve moving the date of the town meeting to sometime later in the year, sometime in May. The other thing is what we're asking tonight is basically to get Renee's goals and objectives lined up. So I don't want to confuse, or I want to make sure it's clear, is that yes, we'll go ahead and say, Renee, your goals for this year don't longer include this. However, what I don't want to do is spend another. We've already committed to this, right? So this is a test for me tonight, and test of the select board, right? Is yes, we remove the goal, but essentially, Renee, and Susan, we're still asking you to continue to work this such that when we're ready for the next town meeting, that we'll be able to prepare and present a fully baked, fully ready for prime time articles supporting this and feel confident that we can do this. So I just want to clear up is make sure that as a board we're still aligned with this, and that this is just maybe, for want of a better word, bit of bureaucracy. We're just cleaning up the goals for this year, but we're not removing them because we will continue to work this. So I just want to make sure that we don't confuse the two.
I think the board as a majority voted to move forward, but I don't believe it was unanimous, as I recall. And I'd like to invite Mike, if you care to speak to this, an opportunity to address it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I said it what I said at the last meeting. I stand by, and I think that this, and I'm sorry, there's a little bit of background here. So I won't go on any more about it, but I do oppose this, and I'll just leave it at that for now. And I'll allow everybody to do what they're going to do. And it sounds like there's a majority here enough to proceed next year with investigating this. So I'll defer until then.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments from other members, Amy or Cindy?
I wasn't, I didn't vote on this because I had missed the meeting and I haven't watched the recording of it. I have listened in the past. I know Susan had some big reservations that, it's been attempted a couple of times. Each time town meeting turns it back the other way. I know that it is tough for the remote voting device issue. And also just the timing of it, finding a time where then we can have an election. It was sounded at a couple of conversations ago like it was just a logistical, really a difficult thing to figure out. I also know that, Fernando has, and there's really good reason for the budget and trying to accurately, figure out how much money we have and the schools. And so, there's seems like there's pros and cons to this either way. I guess maybe the concerns are about disenfranchising some folks if we don't have it on a Saturday and we have it on a weeknight. And I'm interested in the debate. I think that for me, I'm not sure that the town will vote to change the date, but I don't see the harm in giving them the opportunity to do so. If they want to change it, then they'll change it. If they don't, then they'll keep it the same, and we'll have to figure out how. But I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, yeah, like Amy, I'm pretty agnostic about it. I don't I can see the budgetary benefits. I see no reason not to continue to explore the issue so that we can look at it next year and decide what we want to do. So that's sort of where I'd go. I've heard from, folks that they're not interested in changing the date, but there's pros and cons. Absolutely pros and cons. And so, yeah.
And just a point of clarification, and Amy, you raised a good point about the logistics, and that would be what this next 12 months or so would be. In other words, I'm not sure that this board, if I can forecast a little bit, I don't know that this board would be supportive of making the change if we weren't able in advance to lay out the logistics to town meeting. In other words, we would have to explain to town meeting why it would make sense. And we certainly couldn't put the town in scramble mode and say, all right, let's change it and then figure out how to do it later. And that was a big part of the discussion that we had earlier this week. When I say we, again, Fernando, me, Susan, Tara, Rainey, Nancy, and Mike Woodford from IT. I think that's everybody. I left out Mike last time. But it was to discuss, to identify the issues, number one, and then give the responsible parties, so to speak, sufficient opportunity to work through those issues and see if there's a solution that can be presented to town meeting. I personally wouldn't be supportive of doing this if we couldn't present something to town meeting to say, hey, this is how we would do it. Because otherwise, you know, we're asking them to just sort of take a shot in the dark, and that I don't think that's where Fernando was coming from initially. But for the purpose, and Fernando, I'll give you an opportunity to maybe elaborate if there's anything I missed. But the purpose of tonight is to basically back off the request for the purposes of 2026 annual town meeting, and then potentially bring it back for 2027 town meeting that would then be effective the following year. So that if this happens at all, it wouldn't be until 28 for a change of the date. And then also importantly for administrative purposes, this is part of Rainey's goals for this fiscal year. And obviously, if we're not going forward with it, then we couldn't rightly hold him to a goal that we ourselves are kicking for another year. So that's kind of the framework of what we're looking at. Fernando, I'd like you to maybe add anything that I missed here.
Yeah, no. So you have to be clear. We're just removing it. It's an administrative task that we're embarking on this evening, and I too will not support at all, you know, moving the date if we can't get it right. And so that's what Rennie and Susan and Mike are going to give it their best shot to see if it is at all feasible. If they come back, Susan or Rennie or Mike come back and say it's going to cost more, logistics is going to be a headache. But no, we're not going forward. We need to get this right, and we need to be able to stand in front of the town and say, yes, we can do it, and execute perfectly, right? So I'm not supportive if we can't find a solution. And that's what we're looking for. That's why we need more time, and that's why we're postponing it and removing the article for this year, and then doing the administrative task of removing it from Rennie's goals for this fiscal year.
All right, Susan or Rainey, anything we missed?
No, I think
You've
that
captured
sounds-
it perfectly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. Any further discussion or questions? Fernando, do we have motions for this?
Yes, we do.
Okay, why don't you go right ahead and make a motion?
Yeah.
No, I did not provide a motion. I think it's
Oh,
just a simple motion. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, I
just to
thought- I thought-
remove
Because I
the
didn't know
number
what the
9.
decision was going to be. So,
Okay, no problem.
Oh, no. I said, there's a motion there says pertaining removal of select board goal number 9.
That's it. That's the motion.
Yes. Is
okay.
that-
Second.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we
do I
have a
have
motion
it
and
right, Susan?
Excuse me?
Sorry, Nancy, sorry. I'm getting confused. Apologies. Nancy, I've got it right, yeah?
Yep, you had a motion, and did I hear a second?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Who was that for
Amy.
minutes? Amy, great, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any, so I will call for the roll, and if you don't mind, I'm going to continue to do it in the same order.
Amy, aye.
Fernando,
Fernando, I.
Cindy,
Yeah.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. All right, so that takes care of the goal, the administrative issue. Is there anything we need? And I'm looking to Rainey or maybe Susan for purposes of the warrant. Is this anything we need to formally vote on to pull it, kick it to next
Nope.
year?
No, it's good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you all. And Fernando, thank you for your leadership on this. I know it's something different, and there's been a lot to kick around. So thank you for leading it. And Susan, thank you for all your hard work. I know there's been a lot behind the scenes to try to even figure out what the issues are. And you and Tara have been great. So thank you. And Mike as well. Michael Woodford, the IT director. All right. Anything else on annual town meeting for select board goals? If not, I will move on to the next agenda item, which is call for election, discussion, and vote pertaining to town election hours, and vote to add ballot questions, that's S in parentheses, for March election. These include the override ballot question and the Alden School Feasibility Study debt exclusion ballot question. And this will be presented by our town clerk, Susan Kelly, and town manager, Rainey Reed.
Rainey,
Before
do
we
you want
go
to
there-
start with the questions or?
Let me see here.
Hold on one sec. I'm just catching up. Forgive me. No, this is, well, these are the two questions that'll be on the ballot. Excuse me.
So I think we discussed the annual town the election hours, right? But I think we as a select board, we haven't actually sat down, discussed and agreed on the override amount.
Yeah, this is to allow these two questions to be on the ballot. The specifics of the override you'll be discussing when you review the annual town meeting warrant, but you've already been presented this information the previous meeting in December.
Yeah, no, I no, we have. I totally agree. But there's an amount in there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so that's the amount that we as a select board, we've talked about an override and we've been discussing it.
Yep.
But as a select board, we haven't said 2.798451 million is what the select board recommends or has voted on or whatever the
Right.
word is.
Yep. And it could be a number less than that, but in this case, we need a figure for the ballot.
So what happens if we say as a select board, we vote just for purposes of an example, we vote for 1.9 and it's different, a different number that's on the ballot. But are we,
Then
that's
we
not
would,
right, is it?
we would be going with that 1.9 million for the expenditure aspect of it. That's my understanding, because the budget would be reflective of that figure.
So wouldn't it be a bit confusing because we would still be going and asking the voters to vote on 2.9?
Yeah, the thing is that also includes a contingency aspect. So in any given year, that's the dollar amount that the voters would be approving for the new levy limit.
Yeah, no, it's the
actual
levy limit.
specific-
Yeah, I understand. It's
specific-
just
The specific figure of the levy limit is carried in Article 5B.
So
I
wouldn't
mean,
it make more sense to hold on this, on approving of that article until such time as we have made that we voted and agreed to the number of the override?
Just a second, looking at the calendar.
So isn't there a when do you have to get this to the state, or when do you have to get this to the printers?
I
It has to
need,
be voted on by February 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. And we wouldn't have those discussions until we get closer to town meeting. And I think Mary explained this to us last year, that you can have a number less and it's just, and the town wouldn't be able to spend that money.
That's correct.
Mike, you're right. I mean, we at the annual town meeting, we would vote on a budget, say 1.9, right? But the override will be 2.9. And therefore we have I think last time we got into a problem where it was very difficult for us to be able to explain succinctly, right? What does actually the override mean versus the appropriation, right? And so there will be people at the ballot who may, I mean, is a town election. I mean, we had what, 4,000 people vote normally, Susan, if I remember correctly.
last year was about 4,200.
Yeah, 4,200, right? So 4,200 people will be voting on 2.9, and they may not have attended the annual town meeting. The 300-400 people that normally turn out. So there's at least 3,000 people that we'll need to make sure that they understand. Actually, we won't be spending 2.9. That's not what the override is. Actually, is 1 point whatever the number is, and we've actually put in increased the levy limit to give us capacity for the next couple of years. This is a very complex discussion.
But actually, you just simplified it perfectly, because that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
The specific levy, the specific dollar amount is included in Article 5B. This is to give us that extra capacity for the subsequent years.
I totally
Yeah,
agree,
but-
Rennie. I totally agree. Is how do we communicate it effectively such that the voters, when the 3,000 people that have not participated in the annual town meeting, how do we get that information to them such that they don't turn it down because they think it's a damn big number?
Right. Well, that's one of the things that Mary and Betsy and I have been discussing over the past week is how to communicate that message. One of the ways is to let them know that it's half of what it was last year, and it's more not just the dollar amount of the override, but the actual impact on the taxpayers. And that's what the Finance Committee has been discussing as well. And they will be discussing it again, either later this week or next.
Right.
I want to say that
I will shut up now. I'll be quite not. I will, but I'd like to hear what the other select board members are thinking.
I think you're
this, because-
spot on, Fernando. You're absolutely spot on. How we approach this, and how you hit the nail on the head. We want to make this as simple and a unified, amount. And if 2.7 or whatever number is in there isn't the number, that's a problem. It should be the number that is agreed upon by the select board, by all of us, that this is the least amount that we absolutely need so that we can all get behind it and bring it to the voters. But to have a number that's one thing, but we're actually not going to spend that because, you're really voting. That is, I agree with Fernando. That is not the way to go here.
Well, if we don't do it, if we don't have that extra capacity, then we're going to have an override next year, because that's how it's laid out, because the override in this case is good for 1 year, but without that contingency component, we go from override to override to override.
Is there any way to word the question so
I'm
that
sorry?
is there any way to word the question so that it's clear that X amount, can't remember what it is now, 1 point whatever
Yeah.
million per year or whatever it is, for total capacity of 2.78 over 3 years?
Yeah.
We have to follow the statutory language, and that's what this is. So it to oversimplify it, it isn't as simple as we might like it. So this is the language that's prescribed.
Yeah, and if you read the language, I hate to say it, that's what causes the confusion, right? Assess an additional $2.7 million in real estate and personal property taxes for the purposes of funding the operating budgets of the town and public schools for the fiscal year beginning of July 1st, 2026. That's not what we're asking for. That's the problem. It's actually, it says there, funding the operating budgets. No, what we're actually doing is we're going to be voting on a lesser amount, and we're actually adding an increase in the levy limit to make it 2.8. But the way it's worded right now, anybody, those 3,000 people reading it, funding the operating budget, that's a lot of money.
So we have a huge educational campaign ahead of us.
Yeah. It's really
It's the same educational campaign we had last year, and I think people did understand it, and I think they just didn't like the amount.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
and,
Mike.
The dollar amount was too high.
Okay.
True.
and I know we've seen this too. We've seen this amount. We've had numerous discussions on what the contingency budget is, or actually not numerous, but two at least.
Yeah.
The Finance Committee's taken up all of these departments and what their contingency budgets are. The biggest of those being the schools, which I attended, I think, 2 weeks ago, and what their ask is as part of this. And so, as Rainey kind of talked about the amount here, I think for this year in particular, this is an amount that gets us moving forward. And I think we'll see that, and we'll get a chance to vote on that as a group. But we've also had an opportunity to weigh in if we had concerns about the budget. And we're not the school committee, so we can't weigh on the specifics of the school budget. But on our side, we've had a couple of opportunities to see what was asked from the different departments for their contingency piece, and ample time to go back to Rainey and say, hey, this is something I have a real concern with, or something like that. So I don't, I know that Fernando threw out like a hypothetical amount there that it could be less, and I know he wasn't thinking that as a number. But we've had all of, the benefit of all of that. And I know we only looked at it from a 5A, but we saw what the 5B was as well. So I'll just leave it at that for now, because I know we don't have the papers in front of us. We're not voting on the lines tonight or anything like that. But this isn't going to change by February 6th. when Sue Kelly has to send this to be printed. So I hear everybody's concerns. If they're major, I think we could, about a $40,000 or something like that. I don't think that's going to dramatically change people's opinions at the ballot box. The other piece, Fernando, you can think about this in the future. If you're thinking about this from a government study standpoint, some towns do their elections before town meeting for this very reason, so that they vote on this amount weeks before they vote for their operating budget. And it's, just a matter of, it's just the way they do it, so that they have that amount set, and then they vote the operating budget 2 or 3 weeks later. So in the future, we could do something different. But this is what we're required to do by law, is to set an amount. And it's been set by our town manager, the person we asked to prepare a budget. He's presented it to us early in the game here. And he's asked us point blank, do we have any major changes to things? I think that's where we are right now, especially a week away from when Ms. Kelly has to send this to the state.
Rainey, is the 2.8 the 5B budget, the 5B contingency number?
No, it isn't. It has
Say that again, Brian, I'm
a
sorry.
levy limit.
So where does the 2.8 come from? How is that calculated?
Hold on one second. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, what it is, I think it's that the lesser amount, the contingency budget is less. There's about $900,000 worth of levy limit. So
That's correct. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. It's easier. Can you all see that?
Yep.
yeah, there it is right there.
So
900,000.
the total amount for the override for this year is 1.891 million, is 1.8 million. The excess levy capacity is 906 for a total of 2.7, or roughly 2.8. It's that 906 that we use to build us out into
Mhm.
the second and third year of an override, if we can get it that far. We're hoping it'll carry us 3 years.
Remember last time we actually put 5 years in there, and that was so we
Yeah.
had a much bigger levy excess levy capacity, and that was the most difficult thing to try and explain. But
Yeah.
Anyway, that's so that I'm just bringing my experience from last time, and how do we communicate this to the 3,000 people that don't turn up to the?
Well, that's why we're going to be having another meeting, I believe in February at some point, to talk about
Okay.
this.
Communication is going to be, because we have to pass this override needs to pass, and
Yep.
so we need to be setting ourselves up for success, because anyway.
Yeah, and the
So
override
is-
amount for this year that people would be paying on is 1.8 million.
That's exactly right.
I think
not the
Cindy hit the
2.9.
nail on the head, though, when she was suggesting the language. So
Yes.
That
I
is
think,
prescribed by
Fernando, you're
statute.
making a good point about educating the public, but there are 3,000 people, give or take, who are going to show up and look at this and see a number and say, no, hey, Duxbury, what part of override, no on override don't you understand, particularly this number?
Yeah.
But if there's a way to phrase the question in a legally conforming way that explains, well, it's not 2.8 this year, it's 2.8 over, what'd you say, 3 years?
Yep.
Shall the town of Duxbury be allowed to assess an
Well,
additional?
actually, excuse me, Brian,
what?
it may be
Okay.
3, it may be 2, it may be 1. It all depends upon what we need to fund.
Yep.
So we can't commit to that. This language is prescribed by statute. This isn't something that we just went, if you look at the language from last year, it's exactly the same. The DLS, the DOR provide us with this language. This is what we have to follow by way of statute for this override.
So even though it's not 2.8 in year 1, you still have to call it that?
Yes.
Which is just that seems ridiculous to me, because it's not accurate. You're putting something and you're asking the town to do something that we know isn't accurate, but we're saying, but, we're gonna, I like Cindy's idea if it could incorporate, what we're actually asking for.
What you're actually asking for is what you're voting on March 14th. That's what you're actually asking for this year. And then in subsequent years, we have the ability to the tune of that extra funding to go up a little bit if we need to raise the levy limit further. You're actually asking for what did I tell you, 7?
1.8 or something,
Yeah,
but
1.8. So that's what you're actually asking for at town meeting, not in a ballot question. The override is the ballot question, but that in subsequent years, there won't be a ballot question because if in fact it were to pass, it would already be approved. So we could exceed the levy limit based on what the voters approve at the ballot in March.
So it comes down.
Didn't we learn that lesson last year?
Yeah.
Which is don't go too many years into the future.
Yes, and that's why we're not
I'm
doing 5. We're doing maybe 2 or 3.
But
Yeah,
to Fernando's point, we also need this to pass. So I appreciate trying to do more than 1 year, but wouldn't it be better? And maybe I'm kicking a hornet's nest here, but wouldn't it be better to do 1 year with a lower number with a better likelihood of passing, and then go back to the well again next year, even though it's not ideal,
override?
with another override? Yeah.
I would never recommend that.
So by the looks of it, right, we can't change the language because the language is prescribed and we have to put it in that way. I understand the reason for it having that excess levy capacity. It allows us to at least work for the next couple of years. So it comes down, how do we, as a select board and Rennie, as the town administrator, right, the town manager, how do we go about providing enough information such that when the 3,000 people, let's say 1,000 people turn up to the annual town meeting and fully understand, how do we provide enough information for the other 3,000 residents to fully understand what they are voting on? That to me is the big question.
Well, you know the answer better than most because you did the presentations last year. We did what,
Right.
4 or 5 of them?
I know,
And-
but I only reached at the most, there was maybe 80 people. So we did
Yep.
3 sessions, right? So 80,
Yep.
80, 160, 240, right? Whatever the number is, 240. But we're still 2,500 people short.
So we're going to be plagued with that issue forever, Fernando, because we did a major campaign. I mean, we had public forums. There was video. We still have a website. All of the information is there. What it comes down to is, what can people afford? What are they interested in having? And that's going to be it.
I think
the
we
dollar
just
amount I think was too high last year, so we cut it in half and asked for less for a short amount of time.
we weren't as aggressive on social media. I think we missed the point on using Facebook, on using X, and using basically to increase our reach. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but
Yeah.
I honestly, I strongly, we need to find a way and basically do things differently, right? Because doing things the same way, what the expression is, right? So I think we do need to look at social media.
I think
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't disagree, and I think it's important to remember how much it lost by 0.5%, 143 votes. That is a very narrow margin.
Yep.
And I think that if the number had been different, I think it would have been a different outcome.
I just hope, Rennie, that as a town manager, right? If it doesn't pass, in terms of the impacts this will have on the services and on the employees and the town is significant. I'm just concerned that we are just repeating the same thing. We're lowering the amount and hoping for the best. I hope it's not a strategy. I do think we need to get together and think a little differently about how we approach and how we communicate and provide the information to the residents.
Go ahead, Mike.
And I'm asking Sue this too because I don't want to put her in a bind. Is there a way that Mary could talk to us next week about the 900, how that arrived at that number? Because I think, ultimately with this 5 of us, we all reach different people in different ways. but being able to educate people on, where I can speak to the operating budget pretty well now. But on that 900 number, how Mary arrived at that, and how that will play into people's tax bills and things like that, I think would be really helpful.
Yep,
So that
that's
they'd
easy to do
understand.
because we'll be having a similar conversation with the finance committee, and when that occurs, I'll make sure you guys know.
Right. I was just wondering, before we put this number into the print, can we have Mary tell us what that 900 number is?
Mhm.
And that's why I'm asking Sue too, because I don't want to, if she's only got like 3 days to send this in to the state or send this to the printers, I don't want that to be unreasonable.
Sue, what is your absolute deadline here?
I think the absolute deadline to have the voted wording to me is February 21st, which is a Saturday.
Hmm.
So you would have to vote it at a Monday meeting prior to that.
Which makes it February 2nd. Right? Am I counting that correctly?
The 21st is when I need it. So
No,
are
no,
you?
I'm saying, I'm looking at board meeting dates. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Right,
No, I
meeting-
had on my schedule the 9th because the following Monday is a holiday. Don't you need it like 35 days in advance or something?
Correct. And 35 days is the 21st of February. But I think going based on the schedule, that's why we were adding it. That and the warrant closing is why we were adding it today.
Ah, that's right.
Well, actually, it's February 9th. We can meet February 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Amy,
I've
go
got
ahead.
it on our calendar to meet on February 9th.
Yep.
Go ahead, Amy.
I share Fernando's concern. Again, I really do have concerns about this and headed down in the same path that we headed down last time. And just to speak to Mike's, that we had a chance to look at the budget and at the override budget, and that none of us reached out to Rainey to say we have a real problem. Well, I on the record have made no bones about the fact that I've had concerns about bringing to the residents requests in an override budget for new positions. I think that is a tough sell. I continue to be concerned about that, and my concerns, are just that. Are they going to be shared by the residents? I don't know, but I'm concerned that they will be. And it's not just as simple as a board member saying to Rainey, oh, I have a problem with that, so that gets changed. That's not how this works. I mean, board members can have varying opinions on different items in the budget, and whether again every line item is going to be scrutinized and gone over at town meeting. Social media certainly is going to play into this, but I think that's where the tough sell is going to be for an override, but in my opinion, and I think that we need to try to get out ahead of it as much as possible, and to have it clear, how much money we're spending this year, and the levy capacity, making it as simple as possible to people and as bare bones as we can get, I think is what's going to sell it. Other than that, I think it's going to be tough. This is the economy is not getting any better. We're not in a better place than we were last year, and here we go again. So I hope we can, get on the same page and try to take an approach that has the outcome that we need.
Brian, sorry, Cindy, did I jump in?
Sure.
Brian, I think we need, as a select board, February 9th to vote on contingency budget B and the excess levy capacity, such that at least the finance committee and the residents know where we stand as a board. I think we need to do that February 9th.
Can I suggest the second?
Whichever date,
Mhm.
date, we must, as a board, Brian, I strongly recommend that we need to vote, and people need to know where we stand on this.
I would do
Yeah,
the
that's fine. February 2nd is just a week from now,
Yep.
right? Which I think isn't that a newly added meeting? I don't think that
Yep.
was part of the original
Yep.
schedule.
You need it.
Is everybody available on February 2nd?
I am.
Yes,
I am.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to wait till the 9th and just, I mean, you know, it could be a
Yeah.
very stormy year. I
By the
wouldn't
way,
want,
speaking of which, with that caveat, we may be, depending on what next Sunday produces, we may be closed that day.
Right.
So what am I hearing? The 9th or the 2nd?
Oh, we'll
Right.
schedule it for the second. I say we schedule it for the second, get it right out there.
All right.
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
would
Don't need
really
the time.
appreciate the opportunity to actually have this in front of us again and vote on, you know, how our recommendations,
Yes.
which we haven't done yet, before we vote to put it on the ballot.
Yep. Nice. Totally agree.
That sounds fine. And I'll just leave everybody with my thought on this, just because it is so imperative for operations for next year. I'm really concerned that despite the Herculean efforts that I'm sure we will undertake to provide as much information as possible, the message won't necessarily get through to everybody that needs to hear it about what the difference is between the town meeting vote and the ballot vote. And I just don't want to see a repeat. And for myself, I would be a fan of just going with 1 year with a number that's certain, that folks can look at and say, all right, I'm on board with this, or I'm not on board with this, and then go from year to year. As I know that's painful, not what we'd like to do, but if that's what it takes to get it passed, I'd be willing to do that, as opposed to, I'm not saying this is a bad approach that we're looking at now. I just think there's risk given with what happened last year. And I don't think it's just the number. I think there's also some confusion that the five of us are talking about now. And if the five of us are talking about it, you know, it's not something you can talk to a voter in the line at the coffee shop and have, you know, get somebody's head fully wrapped around it, because it is confusing. So we'll bring this up February 2nd for further consideration. Before we move on, though, there was one other piece of this, and we have the benefit of the town clerk with us. It has to do with the hours of the annual town election. You'll see highlighted in our materials, the purpose would be to set the election on the 28th from 9 to 6 rather than 9 to, what was it, 8, 9 to 8
It's
before? or 9
typically
to-
8, it's typically 8 to 8.
8 to 8. Okay. Would you like to just briefly hit upon why we'd want to change the hours?
Sure. So the bylaws allow the select board or direct the select board to set the hours for the town election. So it's something you could do every year. Whatever you decide to do this year isn't forever. We have experienced a reduction in the number of voters who come in later in the evening. And I think that has a lot to do with all the methods that people can use to vote, whether it's vote by mail, voting early in person, and voting at the polls on election day. So I would recommend for this year trying to condense the hours for the town election from 8 to 8 to 9 to 6. We will be processing the vote by mail and early voted ballots differently than we have in the past. It'll give me some more data to tease out who is actually coming in person at the end of the day. So that if we find that we need to change the hours to extend closing back to 8 o'clock, or we can pull it back even further to say 4, I would have a better picture of that after the March election.
And I think the Board of Registrars has already weighed in on this as well, and they're supportive.
They did weigh in on it. They felt that 9 to 6 was a good place to start.
Okay. Any questions for the town clerk on this particular issue? I think it's a great idea. It'll save some hours. We're looking for ways to improve services and save money, and this is I think, a good example of that.
I have no questions.
No.
Okay.
Do we want to
Um,
vote on the Alden School feasibility?
Yes, please.
Would that be something we could do tonight?
But could I get a number amount on that? What is how much is the feasibility study?
It is, hold on one sec. It is 1.75 million.
And is there a reason that that number isn't in the question?
Hold on. I'm looking the question up.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's in the motion. Sorry, hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. I may have that confused. Just a sec.
The question's at the ballot, right? It's a ballot question, so
Yeah.
if you had to
Hold on a second.
include
I'm just pulling it up. I'm pulling it up. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I think you're quite right, Amy. You think you'd have a number there for people to vote on.
it's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
It's almost as much as the override amount that we need for the next year. I mean, and it's a study.
More than we need for the next year.
Hold on. Forgive me.
Lorraine, if it's not at your fingertips, maybe we can revisit this on the 2nd.
Wait a minute, if you don't mind.
Because I had the same question that Amy had, which is we've got a number for one, but not for the other.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have it tonight.
Okay, no problem. So we'll push this whole thing. Susan, just to be clear, all three of these things, which is the date and time of the election, as well as the two questions, those things can wait until our next meeting on February 2nd?
As far as my deadlines, yes, but if you're closing the warrant today, Rainey, do they have to be?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
We can always open the warrant again, can't we?
Yes.
We've done that in the
Yep.
past.
It's not going to change the language. That's the thing.
Why don't we go ahead and vote on the on the election hours? We can do that, can't we? There's a separate motion for that.
The language isn't going to change on the ballot question for the schools because that's approved by bond council. The language for the override question isn't going to change because that's state law. The dollar amount can fluctuate based on what we vote at town meeting.
I do not understand why the amount for the feasibility study isn't listed as is the amount in the other.
I think that the reason I think that is because it will be noted in the motion for the article itself.
But this is for the ballot, though.
I understand.
So when you go with in the ballot question, it has no dollar amount.
Yeah,
It just seems just weirdly
you'll have
deceptive.
to forgive me.
Or
I don't have
something.
Mary here tonight, and I'm at a serious disadvantage because of that. Because she did the work on getting them approved by bond council, but I know that that's the language.
All right, let's just do that one next week. But I'm happy to vote on the hours and B.
Yeah.
Okay, may I have a motion on the hours?
I move that Select Board directs the constable, the town clerk or designee of the town of Duxbury to notify and warn the inhabitants of Duxbury who are qualified to vote in the annual town election to vote at precincts 1 through 6 at the Lieutenant Timothy J. Steele Athletic Building, 130 St. George Street, Duxbury, Massachusetts, on Saturday, March 28th, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Amy?
Amy, I.
Fernando?
Fernando, aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Michael?
Michael,
Ryan, aye. Thank you, Susan, for your work on this.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Sue.
Brian,
We enjoyed
Yes,
your
sir. Go right ahead, Fernando.
Yeah, I have a question. I may have missed the meeting, the board meeting, but have we as a board discussed the Alden School feasibility study?
No.
It'll be presented to you in an article in the warrant. That's the vehicle for the discussion.
And when is
All right,
that going to
so-
take place?
We're working on scheduling that now. We might have to add meetings because we've got 30 some odd articles to run through. Some of them are simple, but some of them aren't.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So am I correct in my understanding that questions 1 and 2 will be visited, or at least question 1 is going to be visited at our meeting on February 2?
Both questions, right?
Yeah,
Both
well,
questions.
you're gonna see the whole warrant listed in there, and we're gonna just hit as much of it as we possibly can. So it'll be the ballot questions plus the warrant, just like we did in previous years, and we just knock off as many of those positions as we can. You remember what
Okay.
I'm talking about, how we do a matrix of all the articles?
Yep.
We go
So-
through as many as we can.
All right. I just want to make sure our record is clear, because Nancy, I know, is working hard on keeping us straight here. And what we've done tonight is we've called to the election and vote regarding town hours. We have not addressed the ballot questions as of this evening.
That's correct.
Okay, great. And since we're not going to continue with the ballot questions this evening, I think we can move on then. But the next issue or the next topic are article recommendations. But since that's time permitting, I'd rather get to the rest of the business first and then come back to that because then we'll know if time permits. Anybody have a concern with that or objection? All right, so let's move on then to voting to close the March 14th, 2026 annual town meeting warrant. Susan or Rainey, anything that you need from us other than the vote on this?
Nope, just the vote.
Okay, may I have the motion, Fernando?
You're muted.
You're on mute. I haven't been able to say that since COVID.
I'm getting sloppy here. Right. I move that the select board closes the March 14th, 2026 annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Second. Sorry.
All right, we have a sec. I think Amy, I think, got that one. All right.
No contest.
Further
Uh,
discussion?
Yes, discussion, Fernando.
Right, we can open the warrant anytime we want to after this because I think there's still some things we need to discuss, right?
Yes.
Yes,
All
up
right.
until a certain date. That's correct.
So may I ask why we're closing it? What is the benefit of closing it now? Does it prevent more article? What is the benefit of closing it now?
Well, it's a statutory provision. You see, we have to close it according to town bylaws 45 days prior to town meeting.
Okay, and we're there.
Yeah,
47. Yep.
we're at day 47.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question and a good answer.
Let's
Thank you for
do it
raising
then.
that.
It used to be 90.
Somebody had to blow the dust off the bylaws and see what's going on here.
Yeah, I did,
I'm-
especially when I changed it.
I'm glad we're still recognizing our bylaws and complying with them.
Me
Oh,
too.
Excellent. Good governance.
It's my job. In fact, that's why I changed it from 90 to 45. About 10
That
years ago.
makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And Fernando, good question. Yes, we'll be able to open it later if need be. So I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Bye.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. So next is the town manager's report. Mr. Reed.
Yes. I have one thing for the report. Well, two. First is, of course, to thank the DPW. I was with them earlier today. It was a long night. Yeah, they've been busy. The other is, it's funny. Excuse me, let me pull this up. Where did it go? I have my report. Hold on. Excuse me 1 second. I'm not used to doing this remote stuff. There it is. Yeah. So 1 year ago tomorrow, I told you all that nobody had filed to run for the planning board. And I am telling you exactly the same thing tonight. We have no candidates currently running for the planning board, which is a shame. But I think after I had made that announcement, we had 4 folks, if I'm not mistaken, run for the planning board. So I'm hoping that by my mentioning that we don't have anybody running for the planning board, that 1 or 2 people will think about running. We've got 3 former planning board members on this board, and I know that you guys could all make a commercial as to why it's a good idea to be on there. So this is that opportunity. So that is my report. I just hope that people do take out papers and decide to run. I
How
think it's
many
That's a-
openings?
a good thing.
How many
Go ahead,
openings?
Cindy, sorry.
Board?
2.
There's an
2.
unexpired term and a 5-year term, I believe, right?
That's correct. Yep.
And I think the folks who all raised their hands last time around when we called for volunteers, I believe they're all on the planning board now, right?
That's right.
I think you're right. Yep.
I think
So
you are.
they all made it on, which is great.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll certainly pass the word around in town. We have lots of talented folks here, and I'm sure we can find a couple of people who can devote some time and make a difference in our community through the planning board. Thank you for raising that, Rainey. That's an important point. We need horsepower on the planning board. They do a lot of important work.
And the other thing to mention is town hall and all town offices will be closed tomorrow, and the schools.
And school, yeah.
May I
Okay.
ask a question under the town manager report, just for any updates on the McNeil dump and possible litigation
Yep.
avenues?
Absolutely. You have that as that will be an executive session on. We're having an executive session on that issue on February 9th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Amy, for bringing that up.
What was that, Mike?
I just thanked everyone.
Thank you for thanking them. All right. Any other questions for the town manager?
Nope.
All right. Seeing none, let's move on to one-day liquor license requests. The first is the Art Complex Museum Winter Juried Show for February 22nd.
I move that Ms. L. Jarvis, as a representative of H. Cole Club LLC Caterers, and on behalf of the Duxbury Art Complex Museum, is granted a one-day wine and malt license to hold the Duxbury Art Association's Winter Juried Show event on Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Art Complex Museum, 189 Olden Street, contingent upon the conditions of the license.
Second.
All right, that was Cindy. We have a motion and second and discussion on the motion. Here none, I'll call for the vote. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy, Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. And next we have for various dates, the Art Complex Museum, Thursday nights at the museum.
All right, I move that Ms. Audra Furgal, as a representative of the Duxbury Art Complex Museum, is granted a one-day all-alcohol license to hold their Thursday night at the museum events at the Art Complex Museum, 189 Olden Street, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., contingent upon the conditions of the license and on the following dates: January 29th, February 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th, March 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th, and lastly, April 2nd, 9th, and 16th.
Second.
Just a point of discussion, I guess I didn't notice this earlier. Is there a limit on how many of these we can issue to the same applicant in a year? Nancy?
Yes, they're only allowed 30 in 1 year.
Oh, all right. Okay,
So
great.
they're fine for now.
Thank you. Well, they've been very successful with a number of great programs. So this is, just want to make sure that not running into something that might stop them from continuing. All right, so we have motion and second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote, starting with
Amy, aye.
Amy, Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Yeah.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. And good luck to both these organizations on their programs. Next, we have minutes, open session from January 12th, 2026.
I move to approve the aforementioned minutes.
Second.
Well put. Any discussion, corrections, edits, etc.? All right, hearing none, I will call for
Amy
the vote.
abstain. Amy
Amy will
abstain.
abstain. Okay, Fernando,
Fernando, I.
Cindy,
Aye.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. Okay, Fernando, if you would kindly declare a bonus shellfish season for the month of February, and then we can revisit whether we want to hit any of the town meeting warrant articles.
All right. I move that the Select Board declares a temporary bonus shellfish season for the commercial harvesting of soft shell clams for the month of February, regulations as attached. And second, the commercial harvesting of quahogs clams for the month of February, regulations as attached.
We have a second. I think I saw
He was
Cindy say
muted.
second.
Second.
All right.
I
Thank
was
you.
I was so impressed at how he said quahog, but I just
Amazing.
It was rather well done.
was.
All right. Any discussion on the motion?
Amy,
Seeing
I.
none, I will call for the vote. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, I.
Cindy.
Yeah.
Great. Michael
Michael,
and Brian, I. Do we care to pass upon any of the ATM warrant articles? Are there any, is there any low-hanging fruit, Rainey, that you'd like to walk us through that we can knock out this evening, or do you want to kick the whole thing to a further meeting?
Oh, boy.
All right. We see your screen.
If you're talking, Rainey, we
I
can't
just
hear
realized I was
you.
muted. Hi, sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
Talking for a while.
Yeah, I've been explaining things. Do you folks have your warrants handy?
Yep.
You're on the
Yes.
screen.
Okay. The ones I would recommend for you, you could certainly do, wait a minute. I gotta pull my warrant up. Right here. 2 seconds. Article 3, which is the compensation for elected officials. Needs a recommendation. Do you need me to pull the warrant up as well, or are you able to do it separately?
No, I mean, that's a reoccurring,
Yep.
Yeah.
that's an easy one to do.
Yeah, because it's for it's the board historically does not take a position on the salaries for its own positions.
Right.
But you do for the assessors, the chair, the 2 members, and the town clerk.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I move that the Select Board supports and recommends the approval of the March 14th, 2026 Annual Town Meeting Article number 3 as presented.
Second.
I have motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the roll. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, I.
Cindy,
Yeah.
Michael, and Brian, I. All right, look at that.
Very
We're making
good.
progress.
We can back up one and do Article 2, which is the reports, basically to accept the reports that are in the annual town report.
Sure.
I move
Uh,
the Select. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, if I can just interrupt for a sec. If, in the interest of time, for purposes of motion, can we select multiple
Yep, we can do that for
articles
you.
and then vote them all at once?
You can. In fact,
Good
let me
idea.
see what else we've got.
Electronic balloting,
Yep.
number 9.
Yep, beach lease, number 10, 4th
Number
of
11.
July. I could probably do, is Susan still on?
I don't see her.
Right, well, I thought we'd already discussed the dog licensing fees.
You haven't voted any positions on articles, though. You did for something else. This is general bylaw amendment.
Right.
Yeah, Susan's not there. You want me to get her back?
Yeah, do you mind?
No?
Please, thank you. Let's see, dog license fees. Oh, you could probably do utility easement. And animal control. And maybe the beach committee. We'll see how far we can go.
How about the cemetery expansion?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that one. We had a lengthy
You've already
discussion
had the
last meeting.
Yeah, that was really good.
All right, and let's.
Oh, I
see.
gotta watch that. Can we hold on that one till I can watch that
Sure.
meeting?
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. You want to try this block right here? So the first one is the reports, which are basically the reports that are found in the annual report, Article 2.
Yeah.
I've
Electronic
got,
balloting, $20,000 allows us to do electronic balloting. The beach lease is $1 million. 4th of July celebration is $25,000. The dog licensing, wait a minute, let me make sure I got the right one. Yeah, nope. The grant the utility easements on town property for the purpose of serving the new DPW facility. That's related to, it's not what you just did earlier. This is another easement on another part of the property that's all internal. And we have
That's
the dog
all internal. What does that mean?
on the site itself.
Okay. And what's the easement for?
Utilities, if you have your warrant,
Yeah.
if you have your warrant, hold on one second. You can see the numbers have changed on this sheet, but don't worry about that. That's different. It would be Article 14 in the warrant.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that is allowing NSTAR Eversource to install equipment on the property for the purpose of serving the new DPW. So it
sounds like a no-brainer.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pages 33 and 34.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, if we don't approve it and if the town doesn't approve it, then we got no power for the building. Is that correct?
No juice, Fernando.
Right.
So I think it's a no-brainer, as they say.
Exactly.
So what number is that one? That is
14.
14,
no, 13. It's 13.
13, sorry. And then 14 is dog licenses. 15.
I'm sorry, I have 14 for the utility.
Yeah.
You're
But
right.
according
No,
to Rennie's
you're right.
spreadsheet, it's
You're right.
13.
The spreadsheet has been updated because I've pulled a couple articles that weren't necessary, one of which is the changing of the date and the changing of the election. So
14.
yeah, we'll go by titles. Animal control, dissolution of the beach committee.
I don't want to do the animal control one because I don't understand it yet.
I think
And,
Susan's
and
coming
I have
back
some
on.
questions about the beach committee thing. I don't want to do it in this block vote.
I would
Oh,
do
okay.
dog license fees because we heard that one already.
We have dog license fees. We have.
Yep, that's
Is
fine.
Susan coming back on, Nancy?
What do we need her for?
Well, that's a nice way to put it, Mike.
No, I don't want to bring her back on if we don't need her.
To
I'm
explain
calling
your
her.
article. I can do it for you, but
Yeah, if it's just the dog
Let's-
license fees.
you want
I
to
don't-
vote this block right here first without animal control and beach?
How about the proposed moratorium on construction of a new nuclear plant in Plymouth? Can we not vote on that one?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fine.
That one I want to hear a little bit more about.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, you want to do those and call it a night?
You want to try these 6?
All right, let's just, for the purposes of clarity, let's just verify. Its reports is Article 2. It's electronic balloting, Article 9. The lease, Article 10. 4th of July celebration, Article 11. Easements on town property, Article 13.
It's actually 14.
And dog license fees, Article 14. Is that right?
Yeah.
No.
By the way,
are we going?
go by the matrix, not what you have in your hands, because the matrix is now what's carrying the day, because
Okay.
what you have in your hand is outdated. There's a new version of the warrant out.
So the numbering has changed, Rainey, but the
Yes.
article language has not.
That's correct, just the titles.
And
Okay.
Susan's gonna rejoin.
Great.
I'm gonna
All right.
do it. We're gonna do it by title.
Yes.
Yes.
That's fine. Because,
Articles 2 through 11 have not changed in number.
Okay.
we're doing 2, 9, 10, and 11.
Yep.
What was
I
that?
move that the select board supports and recommends the approval of the March 14th, 2026 annual town meeting articles number 2, 9, 10, and 11 as presented.
Actually, Fernando, can you say the titles with those two, please, as you see them on the screen?
All right, I shall. Okay. I move that the select board supports and recommends the approval of March 14th, 2026 annual town meeting article 2. There we go. Thank you. Article 2, reports. Article 9, electronic balloting. Article 10, Duxbury Beach lease. Article 11, 4th of July celebration. Article 13, grant utility easements on town property for the purposes of serving the new DPW facility. Article 14, dog license fees.
May I have a
As
second?
presented.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion on these articles? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Okay,
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rainey.
You bet. Susan, are you there?
I don't see her. Is that for the purposes of animal control bylaw?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
There you go. Thanks,
Don't be
Susan.
sorry.
No, thanks for coming back. We didn't know we'd make it this far.
Susan, for the record, I tried to save you coming on.
Thank
He
you.
did. He did.
So the animal control bylaw, can you tell us about that amendment, please?
Sure. So, what we are trying to do is a couple of things. We have to amend it to reflect Ollie's Law, which was passed last year, which puts restrictions on kennels. And we also, the other part of that is that we wanted to remove the set fees that were printed in the bylaws. And we've changed the wording so that the fees, or fines rather, reflect what's in Mass General Law, or giving the select board the opportunity to select or to set the fees from time to time as you see fit. But basically what we're trying to do is mirror what's in Mass General Law for the fines for the animal control bylaw.
oh, I get it.
Basically,
I
you
hear
just
you on
want-
that. I don't. So is that the reference to chapter 140, section 137C? Or is that just for kennels?
You'll have to forgive me, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe 137C is the fine for
The kennels.
the fine for the kennels, but
Okay.
by referencing the Mass General Laws for kennels and for violations of animal control bylaw, by referencing the Mass General Law, we can look to those fines
Yeah.
to assess
I think
for
it says
violations.
chapter 140, section 141. Violations of licensing requirements.
Yes, let me look them up real fast. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to talk about that today.
No problem. I hear what you're saying, and I think it makes sense to have the flexibility of whatever is in the statute as opposed to some lesser amount that might be in the bylaw.
Correct. Our bylaws have been probably less than half what Mass General Law says we should be charging. So 137C is related to inspection of kennels and violations related to that. And Cindy, what was the other reference? I'm sorry.
On chapter 140, section 141
141.
is what it says on the,
Yep, I just don't have it in front of me. As I said, I wasn't that was for licensing violations of the bylaw, violations of animal control bylaws for the town, I believe.
Okay. So what we would need to do as a select board is if town meeting approves this, we would need to quickly establish fines so that you've got something to go by, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything, right?
We actually approved the fines when we had the fees when we had the fee hearing, the fines when we had the
Okay.
fee hearing, and it was contingent on passing this article at town meeting.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that, but that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions from members of the board? Seems pretty straightforward. Seems like a good idea to me.
I move
May I have a
that
motion?
Yeah, I move that the Select Board supports and recommends the approval of the March 14th, 2026 Annual Town Meeting Article number 15, proposed amendment to the General Bylaws, Section 7.1, Animal Control, as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will ask for the roll. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Yeah,
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. All right. Do we have time for one more? Maybe the historic district?
How about Article 16?
I think Michael said he wanted to
You want to
have
do
a
it
discussion
separately?
on this one.
yeah, I'd like to take a minute on that one.
which one's that?
You want to talk about it now? I can.
No,
Oh.
I need to think about this a little bit
Which
Okay.
one is
before
it?
I formulate my words.
Beach committee.
It's the beach committee. They haven't met for about 3 years. In fact, there is no beach committee anymore. As the article states, everything that they used to do has been taken over by professional staff. It's kind of like when we had the old personnel board. And in this case, I spoke with Sue Rourke, the chair of the committee, and she's in agreement with dissolving it because there are no more members.
Well, we can pick this
Yeah,
up.
let me think about that.
Yeah. What about 20, the Powder Point local historic district?
Yeah, you can do that one.
I think
I'm
that's
fine
probably
with
not
that.
objectionable, right? And
That's okay.
before we vote on that, I'm just looking at the list. Is there anything else that's kind of easy for us to handle tonight, or everything else is going to require some sort of discussion?
Well, CPC, I'm going to actually have them come in.
Yes, right.
Block.
Yeah,
I'm going to have Pixie come in for
yeah,
power plant. The citizens petition is basically a sense of the meeting article.
yeah. All right, so just this
Bob
one then.
Hayes, battery. Are you guys ready to vote Bess? I don't know if you are or not.
I think I'd like to hear from the planning board on that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
Can we come back to 21, the citizens petition, right? So that is the gentleman that came in and we said, go and talk to the Highway Safety Committee, and I think he did and objected to. He didn't like what they said, right? So
he's got a citizens petition article, which will basically be a sense of the meeting article because the voters at town meeting can't do this.
Right. So basically, we don't vote on this one. We just ignore it as well.
Well, you can.
Why should we vote? Why should we vote on it?
Well, you could. I'd have to look at the warrant.
Well, I think that what he's trying to do is get a sense of town meeting and whether town meeting wants wants the speed limit reduced across town. I don't think that translates necessarily into us reducing the speed limit across town, but as a
You're right.
representative of the citizens of this town, I would be, if town meeting voted in favor of it, I'd be hard pressed as a select board member to say no to that. So it is an indication to us as to the sense of the town.
Oh yeah, no.
Actually, it's specific though. It's a
that.
sense of the meeting, not the town. It's only a sense.
Whatever.
It's a sense of the
It's
meeting.
also for just a
understand
segment
that.
of Tremont Street.
Yeah,
Yes.
if
Not town
the,
wide. Mhm.
if the sense of the meeting is reduced to the 25, then we can do that if we want to, right? I'm just my concern is that there's a clear process that for a resident to go and ask for basically a change in highway safety. And the way you do it is you go to the Highway Safety Committee, and then basically if they support it, then the petitioner and the Highway Safety Committee come to us and say, hey, we recommend it. But I don't know. I got a sense that when the gentleman came at the open forum, that he was basically not happy with what the Highway Safety Committee. Mike, you got your hand up. Maybe you can help
Yeah,
clarify this point.
so just to be clear, this citizen petition is just for a proposed speed limit reduction on Tremont Street, a portion of it.
Yes.
Not for the whole town. His reason for doing this, and I want to hear from him whether he wants us to indefinitely postpone it or reject it or outright. But it is for a specific portion of Tremont Street, not the whole town.
Yep.
But the reason he had some pushback is he heard from the Highway Safety Committee that they didn't want, the select board didn't want one-offs, like, portions of streets
Right.
in the future. So
Okay.
that's maybe the confusion about whether, going forward, whether we'd, consider those or
Right.
townwide. But this, if we're just voting on this article, I don't know whether he wants us to indefinitely postpone it, because, or what, because we haven't voted on it, properly.
Okay.
All right, so
You're right.
we will take no action on it tonight.
Yep.
I
This is one of these
apologize
easy-
if I misrepresented the article, and you're right. Now I do recall that
Yeah.
he said that he did go through the process, but was told that the select board didn't want the piecemeal or whatever.
Right. That's right. Okay.
So I
Thanks
think we can-
thanks for the aid memoir, Mike.
It's fine. That's what I'm here for.
There you go. It's 9 o'clock. It's 2 minutes past 9. So why don't we hit this last one? And I think we've covered the rest of our business. So
Which one are we doing?
We're doing
the
the number
local
20.
historic district.
Yeah, this is a personal home, so this isn't a controversial.
Yep. I move that the Select Board supports and recommends the approval of the March 14th, 2026 Annual Town Meeting Article number 20, proposed addition to the PowerPoint Local Historic District as presented.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Right.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, I. It is unanimous. Okay, I think we've exhausted what we can do for tonight on the town meeting warrant articles. We have covered the rest of our business. Is there anything that I missed?
The
Amy
announcements.
or anyone else?
Announcements, Brian?
Announcements?
Oh, announcements. Thank you. Yes.
Election workers. Anyone interested in becoming an election worker should contact the town clerk's office for an application and information packet. State-provided election worker training will take place in late winter, early spring. Training is required prior to commencement of service and every 2 years going forward. The next select board meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 2nd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m.
Okay. Is there anything further? Hearing
I
none.
move, oh, no, wait.
Go ahead. I was
Nancy's
just
got
going to
a
ask
hand
for a
up.
motion.
Oh, sorry. I just have one thing to add since
Oh,
we
yeah.
were
Go ahead, Nancy.
closed today, we're closed tomorrow. I'm going to have a few things that need to be signed. So I'll be back in the office on Wednesday. So if people can swing by to sign these one-day liquor licenses and,
Love to.
okay,
Well,
great.
I'll
Will do.
be there, Nancy.
And Nancy,
Okay.
thank you for mentioning that. I think it's worth repeating at the end of the meeting. So town hall, town offices closed tomorrow, schools closed tomorrow, pools closed, everything's closed pretty much, right?
Yep.
Randy?
That's correct.
Okay, and thanks again to DPW, great job. Good luck tomorrow continuing to dig out. I know there's a lot of work.
Yes.
All right, if there's nothing else, may I have a motion, Mr. Guitart?
I move that we conclude this select board meeting of
Second.
Monday, January the 26th, 2026.
All right, we have a motion and second on the motion to adjourn. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Sorry to do this, but one more roll call. Amy,
Amy, I.
Fernando,
Fernando, aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Michael,
Michael,
and Brian, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for joining
Okay.
us this evening. I know this is kind of a weird setup, but we knocked out a lot, and I'm glad we don't have to do this at a future meeting.
No,
All right.
not until next Monday. Okay.
Till
Good night,
Monday.
everybody.
Good
All right,
night.
thank you.
Good night, folks. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Susan.
Right.